Hello, everyone. Thank you to everyone who's joining us live. Thank you to followers who are watching afterwards. We appreciate you taking the time. My name is Hilary Tait Norod. I am an artist and a curator just outside of Boston. And this is another session of In the Studio, which is a series of virtual studio visits that I've been hosting on Fridays with a new artist every week. I want to make a quick note that unfortunately this is going to be my last Friday session. My job resumes next week, but stay tuned because I am going to be continuing doing virtual studio visits. They just might be on Sundays or something like that. But today I am excited to be talking with Amantha Tsaros, who is joining us now. We're waiting for her connection. There she is. Hi, Amantha.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Wait a minute. Should I be this way? No, I'm fine.
No. Vertical is good. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for joining. I want to first just kind of take a quick moment to acknowledge all the devastating issues and news that are happening right now before we get into it. And there is a link in my bio for people who can learn how they can help out more. But I thought a really wonderful way to start getting into your work, I pulled some quotes of yours from your website. Everyone can check it out online, amanthatsaros.com. And I just love how you express your work so positively. And these are things that I read from online, how you talk about your work and your painting practices. You say, I aim to create forcefully joyous paintings that could not be ignored. You say these are bold, loud, opinionated works of optimism that grow out of my passionate desire to drown out the negativity and the darkness. And it's just so beautiful and poignant, and I love that. And I think that's a really wonderful way to start the dialogue and learn more about your work.
Well, thank you. I can't believe I wrote that. It's funny because, well, nothing is funny right now, so I shouldn't say that. But, I had hoped that writing that in my art statement and having it on my website and with all my work would sort of make it clear and signal where I stand on issues. But obviously, that was kind of naive and coy in a way. I mean, I stand by that for my work, but I feel like with my own, the things that I put out into the world, I feel like I need to be a bit more specific about what I value and where I stand. So yes, I make happy art, and those should be sort of like little oasis and refuge in the world. But I think I want to be more vocal about things that we can do to actually make the world better. So,
Absolutely. And I think that's all a learning curve. Like I'm continuously trying to educate myself and find, more appropriate language. And we're all trying to learn of what we can do to come together to fight these injustices. And I think as long as we keep re-examining what that might look like for us, we're doing good. So I'm glad that you're acknowledging that. That's wonderful.
It's actually, I think it's actually only going to result in me being louder than I already am, which is pretty.
Yes, be louder.
You need earplugs. So, anyway.
Wonderful. Well, let's take a look at the work and maybe tour your studio a little bit.
Okay, let's have a tour of the studio. Right now where I am sitting is a wall that has, well, I'll get to that. All right, let's flip it around. So this is a wall of work that I'm working on. These are all things in progress, which I'll talk about. But let's start at the beginning. So the beginning of my studio, I have a little shop and gallery section where I have monotypes. You can see some of them here. Excuse me. And risographs. So in normal days when we have people can come in and visit, and we have little shops. I'll have it set up as a shop, or we'll do a show and there'll be my work and other people's work here.
Beautiful.
And I have a little nook. I'm working on a series right now. Since I'm here, I'll address this. Using painting on glass and using mirrored spray paint. So for example, this is a panel of glass, and there's spray paint that you can use to make it look reflective. And so I have these paintings that I've just made into
Oh,
like
I love
mirrors.
that.
So you see, this one I just did too. So I paint backwards. There I am. I paint backwards. So I paint on this side, and I would be painting on, the black lines and then the shapes and the colorful shapes that are in the back. And then when that's done, then I add the mirror spray paint. So I have these sort of reflective
Oh, that's beautiful. I mean, and that aids in the concept too. And what you're talking about, like, be reflective of your own actions and how you can be more positive, and also how you can be more productive to change. I think that's a wonderful metaphor to use the materials in the work.
Yeah, yes, so much. And then it's, I'm thinking also the idea of like, placing yourself in the work. So this one I'm starting, this new one, and I decided to put the mirror on first. And then I'll just layer back and forth between the mirrored spray paint and then paint itself and see how it looks. But that's something new I'm working on. And it's kind of it's it's a little more exciting than I want, because I've done a bunch of paintings on glass, and I tried to force one into a frame one day, and luckily I realized that I was dealing with glass before I let it like shatter. I was like, get this in the frame. And I'm like, no, I can't do that.
Oh, okay.
So, and then also,
so how are you thinking of presenting them? So how do they sit on something? They don't hang on a wall.
So that's a hard question. Initially, I've been having them in frames. I've had a bunch of these on glass that are transparent, and I had them sort of on frames that sort of set out from the wall. But these currently just they sit. And
I like that. They can prop in like bookshelves and stuff.
Yeah, so they're cool. And then I've also done other things with layers, like this painting. And I'll show you around some of the colors. So, but I also have a lot of, in keeping with the idea of things being loud. It's very loud. And then I thought, well, I had come from the beach, so it was like a loud beach. That's not what the beach looks like, but that's what the beach looks like in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
talk about your color palette. I know you use this candy colored reference to, being a child and joyous and all that. Have you always used these vibrant pinks and greens in your palette, or when did that get introduced?
No, actually, it's kind of, it's really very funny to me, because I started using I used to always work in black and white and entirely. And I started using the candy color pink. I hate the color pink. I used to hate the color pink. I don't anymore. But I started using pink because it wasn't a very serious color. And when I was in art school, there was this very strong idea that, serious artists don't use that color.
Mm-hmm.
Serious artists mix their own colors. I had an excellent painting teacher who just hated these sort of cloying artificial colors.
Yeah.
So I kind of started using them sarcastically. And now I can't stop. Now it's like part of my vocabulary. And it's moved from being sort of, I can use pink, to really like cranking it up to this bright candy color thing, and forcing, it's like being obnoxiously happy.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I mean, I can absolutely remember thoughts of that in undergrad, and same with my work. I'm only starting to get more comfortable with these brighter palettes, because we were kind of taught to shy away from that. It wasn't a serious painting. We weren't serious artists if we used a lighter palette, especially when addressing really important tones in the work.
Yeah, and it's also there's that kind of like it's kind of like a feminist choice in my mind, because I was like, wait a second, you're not going to take me seriously anyway, right? So I've got like resting smile face. People think I'm kidding all the time. Like even my kids sometimes are like, "Are you serious?" So, it just seemed like, all right, well, might as well just use an unserious palette since I already feel like nobody's taking me seriously. But
You're kind of like swerving into the curve, I guess, with that one and acknowledging that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like,
so is that going back to that beach painting? That's something that is in progress. You said you just went to the beach. Is that?
No, I started it I went to the beach from last year.
Okay.
And then I just finished it actually.
Can you step back a little bit? We're kind of seeing a
Yeah,
crop.
let me I have to go to the other side of my table.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's a better angle.
So I had started this, and I decided I was going to try to do an earnest beach painting. No one was ever going to see this painting. So I started doing like, polite. You can kind of see in the background in the right-hand corner, there's like water and stuff. And so I had gone to the beach. I take photo reference, and I did these little beachy sketches. And I started it, and then I got bored because that was boring for me. And then I thought, well, what is the beach really like for me? And so I just kind of made it like this carnival place where it was, big piece of bubble gum. There's seaweed that hits you. There's like little blackbirds or whatever. And so I just made it more of a abstract place in my mind.
I see that. It feels, out of the work that I know of yours, one that more references familiar objects. Like you're saying I saw that like pink shape in the front with the purple stem is like a giant cherry. Like,
Yeah.
You pack your fruit to sit on the beach, and then it looks like the green blob is kind of a figure wearing pink headphones or something lying on the beach. And it's really interesting. This one stirs up a lot more imagery for me, whether objects are figurative, and a lot of your other work is much more just expression of lines and colors. And that's interesting that you're playing with that in this piece.
Well, it's kind of interesting because whenever I start to approach things that seem like shapes, because I did study illustration in my undergrad, mm-hmm. I go immediately into this very representational space. So it's actually difficult for me to make something that's references something realistic without me having this impulse to make it look like the thing.
Right.
Does that make sense? So
yeah, absolutely. That is very difficult because your brain recognizes the shape and you want to recreate that shape that we're all acknowledging. But I think that the painting, you're really successfully walking that line, that in-between line of referencing it and stirring up the imagery in our minds without alluding to this like super hyper realistic thing. So it allows more.
There's another one.
Oh, I like that one too. I think it allows the audience to ask more questions, which is always what I love about your work too. Oh, I love that one on the bottom. I think I remember that one.
Yeah, I know. I love that painting. I know everybody likes that painting, although I've hid it away for a long time. So, although I finished that landscape piece right now, I'm sort of in a kind of a stuck place, and this is something I never share with people.
Well, thank you for sharing with us.
So I'm kind of like, I have a huge, enormous pile of paper on my desk, and I'm just hauling through it, trying to figure out, because, it's been really kind of a confusing time. Like, I don't know what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know what I want to do. So I've been painting and painting and painting a lot on, you like that one, Stephanie?
Yes,
on paper. Which one?
The one in the bottom. Was it one of the paper ones that you started? Or it might have been the painting before that we said we both liked.
Oh, the square one?
Yeah.
Stephanie, let us know. So right now I'm kind of like working like crazy on paper and seeing what grows. And I would never, 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 never show you this, anybody.
Well, thank you for showing us.
There's like these the square one.
Okay, so the one that was
Yeah.
on the floor.
Oh, the square one. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is sort of like this, this is happening.
Yep.
And then this is happening. And it's kind of scaring me a lot. Like, what is happening?
And then go up to, there's like an eggplant looking shape to the left of that pink one.
This one.
Yeah.
See, I like being there. I feel really comfortable being there. And I'm like, ooh, I like that. And then all of a sudden, like, I do this. And I'm like, no, I want to go back to there.
But I think doing those separately will help you find a commonality for them to be integrated together. Yeah. Like, I think that's a really healthy practice to work out things you're comfortable with, things you're uncomfortable with, and then find a way to merge them together. So I feel like there's some breakthrough moment that's going to happen next.
Yeah, so it's a sort of a strange thing. I was like, oh, I'll show you guys this weird thing that's happening right now where it's sort of neither here nor there. But then surprising things happen. I'm like, oh, something entirely blue. Whoever paints in blue, not me. So it's funny because even though there's a certain kind of freedom that I get, like, you'd think that it's very freeing to have like a huge pile of paper on your painting table and just paint and paint and paint and paint and paint. It doesn't really work like that for me. I still get super anxious about every choice. I still panic. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. Why am I doing this? I shouldn't be doing this. And it's just as nerve-wracking to decide when these are done than when the big ones are done. And I also have and I work on a bunch of work at the same time.
Yep.
So like this is something that's not finished.
I see a landscape in that. I see a tree with a green bush and the water.
That's so funny. And this is completely not finished. So like I must have some kind of problem because I can't focus on one thing at a time. So I'm simultaneously.
I don't think that's a problem. I do the same thing. I know a lot of artists that do. And I think because your practice is, it's very visceral, it's very intuitive, you're learning as you're going on each, like you're giving yourself an excuse to learn from every piece you're making and applying to the ones simultaneously. Oh, I love that drop shadow on the little pebbles.
So this is a series I'm doing called Happy Hour. So I have like an actual series that I'm working on that's in my head, right? But then I feel like that's not. Huh?
Can you hold the phone up a little bit higher? We're not seeing the top of it.
You're not? Okay, how's that?
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So it's a little 12 by 12. And that's the one that's sort of, it's called Happy Hour, but it's not necessarily about alcoholic beverages.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe I'm implying my own personal narrative, but happy hour right now during COVID has been so many different things, like connecting with friends. It's, okay, let's do a Zoom happy hour. And whether you have a cocktail or not, it's like this like need to like have this after working at home moment to connect with people. So
and then this is supposed to be a part of happy hour. And I've decided, I don't know if you can see that whole page. It's not done at all. It's in progress. But I've decided to pretend that I'm Pierre Bonnard. Right? And put like these little dabs of color. I was like, oh, I'll just be Pierre for now. But I really don't know what
would he think of this? Yeah.
I don't know what he would think of it. Probably, who knows?
Okay, so we just got a comment. The color, the movement, the energy in the works on paper, wonderful, very intuitive work. Even though you just said you hesitate at each phase, get worried about what you're doing, but keep going. Yes. Love that.
The orange
another comment.
That's this one, right, Julia? Hi, Julia.
The orange swoop and the blue and white one. Yes, that one, and maybe the one, was it to the left that was all blue?
This one or this one?
Or that one.
It's funny because I think what happens is I do these, and these are the ones that talk to me. But then I make these because then I feel guilty.
Guilty. Interesting.
And I'm like, there's not enough paint on here. There has to be more paint. Let me make something with more paint.
Well,
Oh, the one with the red dot. That's this one.
yes, I do
Yeah.
like that one a
It
lot.
kind of looks like something you'd see under a microscope.
It does. Well,
And then
oh, sorry.
also, Janet likes this one. But, and then also I try to come up with names that are sort of funny or tell a story.
Oh, yeah, tell us some of your titles. I like your titles a lot.
It's funny. Let's see, things with titles. So these are Be a Light,
Mm-hmm.
Build Bridges, Not Walls, Truth, Justice, Mercy, Kindness, and Love. I don't know how much of this you can see now that I realize that. And this one is Light Will Rise Over the Darkness.
Oh, wow. That one's so simple and beautiful.
Thank you. I like that one. And then my risographs all have kind of fun names. Like this one is a big dill. I had done a painting and one of my friends, who I think is on this video, had said that one part of the painting looked like someone had taken a bite out of a pickle.
Yes.
And someone else had said that was not a nice thing to say. But of course, I thought it was fantastic, and I loved that. So then I made this piece in honor of my friend having said, that was you, Stephanie.
Oh, that was Stephanie.
That was Stephanie. And I thought, I think, don't be mean to Stephanie. She's right. So this is a big dill. That's for Stephanie. These are Lifesaver. This one's called We Rise. That's about being together and everybody lifting each other up.
I love that.
This one's Escape, which I feel like I need more than ever.
Oh, yeah.
So these are all these
your titles bring so much clarity or like just definition to the work. The titles are so important. I love that.
It's peeking. So these are all the risographs. They're on my website.
Yes, everyone go to amanthatsaros.com.
Oh yeah, definitely go there.
Online. If you have any questions, reach out to her directly, and be sure to follow her on Instagram too.
Oh yeah, follow me on Instagram. I love Instagram. I don't get in trouble on Instagram like I do on Twitter.
Well, we're coming up towards the end of this visit today, Amantha, and I want to ask you kind of a final follow-up question. We talked about what you're working on during all of this, the works on paper. Do you have any advice on, or just anything that you want to note or say to other artists working right now?
Oh my gosh, other artists keep working. I mean, I feel like everybody keeps telling me that they're not able to work for some reason, or it's distracting, or really just like dig in and keep working. It's actually a good time to make really ugly art, because if you feel like you can't show your work, that's how I feel, it's just a good time to like try new things. Do you know what I mean?
Well, so speaking of trying new things, we're getting some comments. Susan and Marie and Stephanie are saying, what about working much larger? What would you think about maybe on bigger paper throughout all this? That could be.
I have some bigger paintings, so I think that like this one is, what is this one? 5 feet? No, 4 by 4. No, it's bigger than that. I know it barely fits in my car. So, but yes, definitely. I think after I get through this period of being panic-stricken, doing these smaller pieces on paper, I have some really large canvases. So I need all the encouragement I can get. So yeah, I'll definitely do that.
I think you're doing a fantastic job working on the small papers and, exploring different ideas. Oh, Erin Becker said, yes, it's 4 by 4 feet.
I love the fact that she knows better than
she
I
knows
do.
That. Of course she does. Shout out to Erin Becker. Shout out to Cambridge.
It just fits in my car.
Yeah. But yeah, so thank you so much for sharing your vulnerable work that you're doing right now, sharing your message and your joyous paintings. I want to close it up a little bit and say again, make sure everyone, you're trying to take note of how you can help during these trying times, whether that's donating if you're able, whether that's signing petitions, whether it's making art to make yourself feel good. having these conversations with each other, difficult conversations with friends and family. Read, educate yourself. There's so many podcasts and articles out there. But I really thank you, Amantha, for sharing what you're doing right now and sharing what you're experiencing.
Oh, and don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to lose friends.
Yes, exactly. Speak up. And Stephanie said, Hilary, it looks like your mind is blown by Amantha's work. Yes, it always
oh, because
is.
of your work
I
in the
love
background.
I love it.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to lose friends. I'll be your friend.
Thanks, Amantha. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is fun.
Everyone out there, stay safe and healthy. And thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.